Good evening, wine lovers, and welcome to the SaveSAwine live stream. It's Monday. It's Tuesday evening in the Winelands, and we are 2 days before we have Heritage Day, and it's the fantastic time of the year to visit the Winelands. It's springtime; it's not too hot, and the wine is fantastic. So we start off tonight by looking at our 60 in 60 campaign, where we are showcasing 60 producers, um, one a day for 60 days. We started on the 30th of August. This continues until the 28th of October, and this is in collaboration with Erica Taylor. And tonight's featured producer is Seine Wines. The website is www.sijnn.co.za. Seine Wines, www.seine.co.za, and the Seine is spelled Sijnn. So Seine Wines is an isolated villages in the Malgas ward near the Breede River's mouth, and this was called Seine by the original Khoisan inhabitants. And the farm was founded by David Trafford after Trafford Wines from Stellenbosch. The winemaker is Charla Bosman, that's a picture here, who joined the team in 2014, and she has slowly started to leave a footprint on the farm, and she's basically running the farm from day to day. So a fantastic winery to support. Go to their website, seine.co.za, and read more about Carla, the wine she's making, and also about the winery Seine Wines. Please use these hashtags, hashtag 1660, hashtag SaveSAwine, and hashtag Drink South African. Our website, www.savesawine.co.za, and on this website we have a producer calendar where you can see which producers are featured next. This is on savesawine.co.za/1660, and please also support us on Instagram, instagram.com/savesawine.co.za. I'm going to repeat. The featured winery of today is Seine Wines in the Breede River Valley, making fantastic wines, and the wines was inspired by the river rocks and the shale, which reminded David Trafford of Châteauneuf-du-Pape in the south of France, and he started making South African wines in that vein. So please support them. Then on the 24th of September, every year, it's Heritage Day, and wine.co.za are encouraging every South African around the world to open a bottle up of South African wine. Do that with some new international friends and let them taste our sunshine, and also teach them how to braai. You can get more information on wine.co.za/taste sunshine. There's also a Facebook event on that day. You can see the Facebook events on our page or on wine.co.za's Facebook page. Then, like I said, it's time for everyone to start visiting the winelands. I made a video called COVID-19, a warning and a wake-up call for the South African winelands. This is about the fact that we are staring an arid tourism season in the face. Not a lot of international visitors expected. So our wineries and our winelands businesses and our winelands experiences, personally, I think they need to focus on the local market. We've created a website where you can list your experience, bit.ly/visit winelands. Just visit your winery and your winelands experience there, and please do that. Then a big thank you to our sponsor. Our sponsor is the Fishwives Club. They're having a fantastic giveaway. You could win 24 of their first run cans, which is going to be launched in October. One lucky winner will be winning 24 cans. It's free to enter. Just go to Fishwives Club cangiveaway.gr8.com. That's Fishwives Club cangiveaway.gr8.com. Then I just need to say a great way to get more exposure for your wine, your restaurant, your accommodation, your wineries experience, or your wineries business is to use one of our premium service offerings. We do realize that times are tough, and we want to give a helping hand to every winelands business. So we've decided to give away a 500 Rand credit in the form of a gift card to kickstart your promotion for summer. You can redeem this on our promotional store, and to claim it, you can just email us at visitthewinelands@gmail.com, and you'll get 500 Rands worth of marketing for free. Then our featured podcast for the evening is from an interview I had with Dr. Ido Heinz. Ido is the Strategic Development and Marketing Manager of Lavenier Estate. Lavenier has a long history dating back to the late 1600, and it was one of the very first sites to be identified for growing by early European settlers in the Cape. And so watch the explainer about Lavenier and then the Lavenier podcast, and I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7. Tomorrow morning at 8:30. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, winelands businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Before we start today's show, I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to our sponsor of this show, Lisa Loves Wines. Lisa shared with me that she has a very special offer for our listeners today. I'm not sure if our listeners are aware, but magnum-sized bottles are becoming very fashionable in Europe, and I think South Africa will follow suit shortly. So as part of her Biggest Beautiful campaign, Lisa will be offering a discount on 1.5-litre magnums. This is also a great Father's Day gift or a birthday gift. We will leave the details and links on how to get this awesome offer inside the description. Now, on with today's show. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm talking to Edo Haynes. Edo is at Lavenier Wine Estate. Welcome to About the Winelands, Edo.
Thank you very much, Will. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's our pleasure to have you. So tell all our listeners a bit about yourself and what you're doing at Lavenier and how you got involved in the wine industry.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I studied winemaking and I'm a qualified winemaker. I made wine in Constantia for a while before I decided to sort of spread my proverbial wings in the wine industry by becoming a wine writer. I was a wine writer for Wineland magazine for 10 years and eventually became editor of the publication. And part of my job at Wineland and Vinpro was to engage with the next generation of winemakers. And part of this was to every year take some of the young wine leaders on an overseas trip to a leading wine region. In terms of, or in order to get winemakers to engage with other industry leaders, to learn about the international trade, to perhaps see some winemaking techniques, and to basically come back inspired. And it's now 4 years ago, we went to the Loire Valley. It was a trip where myself and Charles Williams from the Toeren, Ati Low from Opstal, and Dirk Coetzee, the winemaker at Lavenier, went to the Loire Valley. And when I asked at Vini if Dirk can be part of this trip, they said, yes, no problem, it's perfect. But in order for Dirk to go to the Loire Valley, they asked me to present a tasting in Paris for the Advini commercial team. And I did the tasting and it went well, and I was so intrigued by this dynamic organization with a really inspiring and young commercial team at the helm. And when I came back to South Africa, I realized that it sort of sparked an interest in me to sort of delve into the commercial side of the wine industry. And that's when I made the switch from being a wine writer to getting into the commercial side of the wine industry and the marketing side of the wine industry. So today I've been at Lavenier for 3 years, and it's been an absolutely wonderful journey.
Wow, that's amazing. So can you tell us a little bit of the history of Lavenier itself?
Of course. So before 1990, when the estate was acquired by Mark Veer and its name was changed to Lavenier, Lavenier was part of a bigger wine estate or wine farm essentially called Veltevrede. And when Mark Veer bought the estate in 1990, he's a Frenchman or a French-speaking Mauritian. And he came to this estate that he fell in love with, but he couldn't pronounce the name. So he said that this estate is his future, and he called it Lavenier, which means the future in French. And that's when Veltevrede got changed to Lavenier. So Veltevrede is one of the oldest wine estates in Stellenbosch, but it never made wine under its own label. And it's only since Mark Veer bought the estate that wine was produced under the name Lavenier. And that started in 1992. And the rest is history. It immediately gained traction in terms of the pinotage. Back then, winemaker François Nadir really made a name for himself as the Pope of Pinotage in Stellenbosch. And we're fortunate today that the current winemaker, Dirk Coetzee, was mentored by François Nadir and has maintained that level of quality, level of innovation, and absolute passion for pinotage.
Wow, that's interesting. Besides pinotage, you also have a famous Chenin Blanc block. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Lavenier focuses on pinotage and Chenin Blanc, which are quintessentially the varietals that South Africa are known for. And In terms of the Chenin Blanc, it's a registered certified heritage vineyard and part of the Old Vine Project. As you enter Lavinier Estate, there is an amazing vineyard that is 48 years old today. That we call the Old Lady. She's a Chenin Blanc vineyard. She produces the most amazing grapes, and they have now they've now isolated the genetic plant material of this vineyard in order to propagate the clone and eventually make it available in 5 years' time in 2025, so that this same clone can be replanted. And we're very, very excited about that. The Old Lady's a legend on the estate. She produces the most delicious Chenins. We make a Chenin that is a really classic style. She's harvested in two different portions, one which is harvested earlier and one which is harvested later, in order to get that balance and finesse that we want in our Chenins. In terms of South African Chenin's development, I think the industry has matured and developed in terms of the style of Chenin that it's producing. We're producing Chenins now that showcase finesse, that showcase complexity, and that really age well. And these dimensions are the dimensions that Dirk works on in terms of our single block Chenin, to produce a wine that is absolutely world class. One of the awards that we're very proud of the single block Chenin is this wine won the Diamond Trophy at the Sakura Wine Awards in Japan, which essentially means that it's the top Chenin Blanc from South Africa in Japan. And for us, that's a huge compliment. We know that the Japanese wine market is a very sophisticated one, and that Japanese in general love delicacy and sort of they like the finer things in life, and they're very sophisticated in the way that they appreciate wine. And for our Chenin to be rated as the top Chenin in such a market is an absolute wonderful accolade for us.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. Can I go back to what you said about the Loire Valley, which is interesting because if you France is more known for Bordeaux and Burgundy and the Champagne areas, and the Loire Valley is really known for its chateaus and being the breadbasket of France. So you personally, when you and Dirk were there, what did you actually what did you take away from the Loire Valley that you brought back to South Africa?
Oh, it's an absolutely fascinating region. What we took home, I'll sort of split it up into different categories. The first part is they've got a really progressive approach towards biodynamic wine production. And I think that's something that South Africa can bring back home and ask ourselves why such a very small percentage of South African vineyards are organic or biodynamic, while a region like the Loire Valley has certain appellations within it that are completely biodynamic. And that's certainly one thing that we brought home. And at Lavinier, we're working closely with experts in terms of organic production and seeing how we can make this estate sustainable, how we can practice organic practices at the estate, and how we can essentially live up to the name The Future in order to keep our soils healthy, keep our vines healthy, and produce wines that are natural and hopefully one day organic or biodynamic. The Loire Valley is very, very different to South Africa. I think in South Africa we've got ample sunlight. We know that our grapes are going to ripen, and our challenge is to pick Chenin Blanc at the right ripeness levels. Well, in the Loire Valley, you don't necessarily reach those ripeness levels because their climate is different. They've got rain, they've got limits in terms of ripening their grapes, and they've also got very, very different styles. In the Loire Valley, they produce a lot of sparkling Chenin Blanc, which is still a very small category in South Africa, but they also produce lots of sweet wines and semi-sweet wines, while South African Chenins are mostly dry. It's a fascinating region. If there's one region where we can learn from and they can learn from us in terms of a different approach, diversities of styles, it's the Loire Valley. And you see that with the Chenin Blanc Association, how they are closely working with Loire producers and finding mutual benefits in terms of raising the profile of Chenin. And then the other variety that the Loire Valley is known for is very close to my heart. It's Cabernet Franc. And I think that the variety also has a very big future in South Africa and globally.
Well, interesting. You know, the fact that you mentioned also biodiversity and organic wine growing. I think, and this is something I want to ask you because the name is apt. You know, the future, and the future of wine is in the hand of millennials, and you know, it's a different market. So, do you think, you know, what is your take on that? Are these things important to the millennial market?
Yeah, I think even the current situation that we're in is it's a very interesting learning opportunity for the wine industry. And the way that wine is being sold is changing at a rapid pace, and the way that it is being presented is changing. We often use the phrase at Lavanier that authenticity is the new luxury. And millennials love authenticity in terms of stories. A story behind a vineyard. I told the story of the old lady, the Chenin Blanc vineyard earlier. That's more interesting, that bottle with the serious price tag. Um, the luxury approach to wine is changing with millennials, and it's all about authenticity. It's about telling the story. It's about being true to who you are and what you're trying to present. And there are values at play, and there are associations at play, and most importantly, as I mentioned, characters and stories that become more and more important to the millennial market. Um, and you have to be open and accessible and be able to listen and be able to respond to this market, which makes it very interesting, but we also see it as a massive opportunity. Um, in terms of our demographics that we sell to, there is a large proportion of people that really appreciate Lavanier wines that are from this millennial grouping, and it's important to engage with them and understand what they want. And that's something that we actively do, not only in the Cellador when it was still operating, but also in the trade and wherever possible. It's also, Lavanier is a pioneer of premium Provence style rosés in South Africa. And if you look at wine festivals and especially millennials in South Africa, rosé is a growing category. And if it's something that you're known for, like in Lavanier's case, you have an advantage. And if you look at our Glen Rosé, which is a high-end rosé, it's limited, it's from a single vineyard, and it has a wonderful story and unique packaging. And it's a wine that is being that when it was started in 2015, it was strange. Why would you do a high-end rosé? I mean, rosé is rosé. At that stage, most of it was still sweet. But now the Glen Rosé gets sold out in a couple of months every year. Most of it is sold from the farm, and it has a really fantastic following. And it's that kind of engagement that we want, and that we see as an advantage in terms of the millennial market.
That's awesome. I mean, you mentioned authenticity, and you know, what in terms of any other things you can highlight about Lavanier's and Dirk Coetzee's wine philosophy and winemaking philosophy?
So Dirk's main passion in life is most certainly pinotage. He loves this varietal, and he loves it for different reasons. One of the things that he really tries to showcase at Lavanier is pinotage's versatility. If you think pinotage, you immediately think of a dry, full-bodied, big red wine. Well, Dirk's approach is that it can be showcased as a premium rosé. It can be shown as an unwooded red. It can be showed as a more feminine style, like the Provenance Chenin, but it can also be a big and full wine that is well structured and can keep for years and decades, like the single block Pinotage. So Dirk's big passion is to showcase the versatility of this varietal and to show it in new ways, to show that the way that Pinotage is being approached is new. We're planting it on new sites. Lavinier, we've got trellised vines, we've got bush vines, we've got different angles, we've got different slopes, and we're trying to bring that diversity and to showcase the versatility of this variety. And Dirk grew up in Hoekville, which is very close to the Knysna forest. He loves nature, and we spoke about organic and sustainable production of wine. That's also something that lies very close to Dirk's heart and is definitely part of his philosophy in terms of Lavinier. We also have a Pebbles after-school care facility at the estate in terms of the future of the next generation of people that live on the estate, where we give children the opportunity to achieve academically, but also achieve in other spheres of life. We've started the Lavinier Sports Development Academy, where the kids at the Pebbles After School Care Facility also benefit from professional coaching to get that bit of inspiration, to get exposure to sport, and to learn some of the fundamental aspects of sport, like teamwork and pushing through and sort of being able to decide your own destiny through sport as well. So the Lavinier is multifaceted at Lavinier. We look at the future of not only the environment and not only the economic sustainability of the wine industry and Lavinier itself, but also the people at the estate and also the neighboring estates around Lavinier.
Oh, that's awesome. So talking about, the surroundings and other things on the farm, what else do you offer visitors? You have accommodation there, and what else?
So our hospitality offering is something where this focus on authenticity also comes into its own right. We really have a fantastic cellar door experience where people are given a Chenin Blanc and Pinotage experience that is second to none. We have all the vintages that are available. We've got a cheese and wine pairing. We've got charcuterie and wine pairing. We've got very, very authentic cheese and charcuterie platters at the estate. And then we also have the added benefits of French wines from the Advini group that are available from the estate. Obviously, during the Corona lockdown, this isn't possible, but it is part of it's a big part of Lavinier's soul and the way that we operate. We love welcoming people at the estate, and we certainly can't wait for the opportunity that we can do that again.
Well, I've heard that you guys have the best live music or the best music at your tasting and sales facility. What is the story there? Is this live? Is this just, do you have a good DJ? How did you get that reputation?
I think it's a bit of a combination. Wine is about senses, and you have to have the right music. And our cellar door and experience manager, Ryan Breede feels very strongly about the music that is played at Lavinier. But also occasionally we have live gigs where we have a variety of music on offer. And the focus is always on the wine of the estate. But if you have the ambiance and the background music and just the entire experience of this beautiful tranquil setting, the wine also comes to its own.
Well, that sounds awesome. Now, you mentioned the coronavirus and our current situation. So, this has forced all of us to rethink our business models. So, do you guys have any changes in mind or new ideas?
One of the things that is clear from all the research that is being done in terms of the commercial aspect of coronavirus is that your brand equity will show in terms of how quickly the brand recovers after the coronavirus. And I think in that sense, Lavinier has done very, very well. We've done well in terms of the direct sales, and now that the market has started to open up again, we've been absolutely humbled by the requests and orders that we've received, and support from loyal supporters of Lavenier in general, globally. And this has been absolutely wonderful to see that we were able to pull it through and still maintain good rates of sales through this loyalty for the brand that was built up over the past 30 years.
So things like social media and that type of stuff, how important is that, you think that's going to be for the future of the wine industry?
Well, I've constantly mentioned engaging with your consumer and understanding your consumer, but also sharing your heart and soul with the consumer. That aspect of authenticity is incredibly important. And that also reflects in our social media approach. We regularly give Dirk an opportunity to show what he's doing in the vineyards. To give the people of we give the people of Lavenier a voice through social media, and we get a glimpse into the life of people at Lavenier, the production side as well as in the market, and also support our colleagues in the industry. During this lockdown, restaurants and hotels that supported Lavenier over the decades were closed. And as soon as we were able to support these restaurants again, we absolutely did that by ordering them their food, enjoying them safely at Lavenier Estate, and pairing them with our wines as a team from Lavenier. So it's about relationships, it's about engaging with your customer, it's about authenticity, and it's about being true to your philosophy and being true to what you represent as a brand and as a winery.
Well, you've summed it up nicely, which almost makes my next question mute, but I'll ask it anyway. What is the most important thing you've learned from your wine journey?
We're an industry that is social. We're an industry that engages. We're an industry that sells a product that people enjoy. And enjoyment is so important. As long as you enjoy engaging with wine and engaging with people, the successes will follow, because people feel that positivity, people feel that energy, and they associate with that. And if you've got a passion for quality, you live your philosophy in terms of what you want to achieve with your wines, then you will be successful. And I've mentioned it a lot during this whole discussion, but if there's one wine quote that really rings true in the approach that we have at Lavenier, it is that authenticity is the new luxury. You need to be true. You need to have a product that cannot be replicated, and that's where authenticity of something like a single vineyard range comes into play. And you need to be pioneering, push the boundaries, showcase that versatility of pinotage in Lavenier's case. Be a pioneer of premium pinotage rosé. Why not? And we've got a few other very, very exciting projects in the cellar at the moment. Never stop dreaming. Push that envelope and make the ability to reinvent yourself part of how you continually achieve success. That is part of sustainability, essentially.
That's awesome. So I've heard Lisa from Lisa Loves Wines whispered in my ear that you guys are doing a Biggest Beautiful campaign on your MCC and Pinotage Magnum bottles. So can you tell us a little bit more about these wines?
Yeah, well, gaan groot of gaan huis toe, né? I'm a massive fan of Magnums. I think the way that wines mature in Magnums is just incredible. And we've seen a gradual growth in the interest in Magnums. And especially on special occasions. Father's Day is coming up. And when restaurants were still operating during Father's Day, we had a special where Wines by the Glass, in terms of our provenance pinotage, was poured out of the Magnum. And it just feels different. It feels grand. It feels impressive. And with the mature, the different way that wines mature in Magnum, I think it's just an awesome way to sell wine and a category that is growing. And we're very, very glad to be part of this initiative to showcase Magnums.
That's awesome. I hear that it's a big growing trend in Europe as well, to take magnums to parties, and the magnum sales there is becoming very fashionable.
Yeah, not only in consumption at home, but also at restaurants. Magnums are different. As I said earlier, they're grand, they're impressive, and it immediately makes a big impression if you're serving a wine out of a big bottle. And in a way, it's also something that's associated with parties and celebrations.
So what you're telling me is it's also going to make great Instagram shots.
Yeah, absolutely. True that.
So if people want to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you guys?
Well, you mentioned it. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to contact us directly, it's easy to email Ryan, and you can email him at info@lavineyard.co.za.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll put all the links down in the description. And then all that's left for me is to tell you to keep your head up while the lockdown is going on. And thank you very much for spending the time with us. And it seems like you guys have your finger on the pulse of the future.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity, and cheers to the future of South African wine.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Just a quick reminder that you can get that 1.5-liter Magnum discount. So hurry, get in touch with Lisa. She's at Lisa Loves Wines, and we have the link in the description.